everybody, welcome to the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Tilford, joined by Rich Hudson.
Good afternoon.
And Jules Gill.
Hello, everyone.
These people who surround me have played all the lovely, lovely games that are coming out in the next few months and into 2020, but we don't have every single one of them being covered today. You guys can come back on Wednesday where we're going to do another sort of EGX roundup, or you two are.
Yep.
Or we'll see. We'll sort out some sort of combination of hosts for that thing.
Sure.
Where you can run down everything that you played. But I just thought we would sort of do the cream of the crop initially.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
highlight
sense.
some different things.
I mean, we are fresh off the back of this. I mean, we literally wrapped up yesterday and we're back in recording this today, and I'm absolutely knackered, mate. I've been done in. My feet are killing me. I feel like I've aged about 20 years, and I was already bold and old to begin with.
Lost your beard.
I feel like I've died.
It's been a long weekend, but it's been one of the best weekends I think I've ever had out at an event, or just not sitting on my ass doing nothing. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Before we begin as well, I just want to give a massive thank you to anyone who took the time out of their day to come find us and say hi. It truly, truly means a lot to us when you come out and say that, because supporting the channel is fantastic, and being able to see you and know that we're doing the right things sometimes is always great. So thank you very much.
This will be going out on the main WhatCulture channel as well, so you can go WhatCulture Gaming channel. You can go find the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast channel as well. We're going to be experimenting with some different shows going up on the main channel alongside the podcast stuff. But the podcast channel is where like every other episode will go if it doesn't end up on the main channel.
Well, don't tease me, Scott. Tell me what we're coming up, or is that the secret?
Well, Julian. See, the thing is, we've got Call of Duty on Friday, so we're going to do a big old breakdown of that.
I've got to love a good codcast.
Yes,
we do like
podcast.
our podcasts.
Fishcast. What are you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, is it? I didn't realise that one of the biggest games franchises of the year was having another sequel that came out this Friday.
This one looks really good.
Yeah, no, it does.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
So you guys have your rejects thing potentially on Wednesday. We're going to do something on jump scares. We've got a whole load of stuff planned, Jules.
You know what? If I was a subscriber listening to this right now, I'd be like, hot dang, hot diggity dog.
This is some good content.
Give it all you got. So in terms of the cream of the crop of the stuff that you guys play, I'm going to open with Marvel's The Avengers. Jules, you played this thing.
Now, here's a little secret thing. I think we're technically allowed to say what we got up to.
You've already said it on every other EGX video we've shot already.
I didn't sign an embargo.
You didn't sign anything. Plus public were there as well.
Exactly, yeah. So what happened is that when we were at EGX, there was actually 2 demos that were going on. And a lot of people only got to play one, which was A-Day, which is seeing the Avengers basically storming across this massive bridge because it's being destroyed by a shadowy corporation figure we don't know, or there's been some sort of like big explosion. Yes, all the trailers have been covering this. But Rachel and I were lucky enough, because of our lovely contact at Square Enix, to go up and do a behind closed doors playthrough where we got to play as Kamala Khan, So the best thing about this is that it was a gameplay centric enemy wave demo.
Right.
Inside what's known as a harm room. It's kind of like the Professor Xavier's X-Men training room that they've got there, but you could simulate all these different environments.
A harm room.
Yeah, and as
WhatCulture officers.
and as Kamala Khan, you got to take on wave after wave of all of these bad guys, and it was brilliant to not only get a sort of hands-on with how she's going to play, because she's actually going to be the driving force of the game's narrative. She's going to be one that's actually going to be collecting all of the Avengers back together after the events of A-Day.
Gotta catch them all.
Indeed.
So if you don't know who Kamala Khan is, she's Ms. Marvel, who is
Indeed.
like the stand-in kind of thing alongside Captain Marvel or whatever. But Ms. Marvel's main power is embiggening. She can go massive, she can have big fists and legs and everything else.
She dropped in 2013 and then became sort of like a global superstar in 2014 around that time, and is one of the most popular recent Marvel characters. So it made perfect sense for her to be included in this game. And playing as her was hilarious fun because the Embiggen is a fantastic move that does literally like triple her size. But as every character's got a ranged attack, so you've got like, Iron Man puts out his repulsor blast and the Hulk does his thunderclap stuff. With her one, she pulls her hand back because her powers are kind of like Mr. Fantastic, where she's like rubbery and can obviously like change the shape of her fists and feet. And she does a massive palm smash that will like literally crush people against the wall. And when she brings back a hand, she like does that. So it's like stinging her. She's like, ooh, like that sort of thing. It was so fun to play as her. And I managed to get through. I was the only one of our little demo group that managed to get through all 15 waves.
Did you get a little t-shirt?
I didn't get a little t-shirt, but I got Scott Amos, the head of Crystal Dynamics, saying that was him? He said I didn't get him in my pocket, obviously. No, unfortunately not. He just went, oh, well done, that's really good. So I was like, oh, there we go.
He seems genuinely surprised that someone got through the whole demo.
By the way, I just have to say that Scott Amos is such a nice man.
Okay.
Like, he is so passionate about this project. He was sitting down there and you could tell that he had like a childish glee telling us how much he was invested in this project, because they seem to be ticking all of the right boxes. In this day and age, what's a death sentence? Sending a game out with loot boxes or microtransactions.
Or just being unfinished.
And he flatly just said, like, there will be no paid for loot gambling, any sort of systems like that. If you want to buy cosmetics that do not affect the gameplay at all, you have the option to buy them on the storefront with real money. We're not going to do with this in-game coin, whatever it is. You just buy it with real money, and it will just change the costume of your character. All of the heroes and all of the maps that will be coming out afterwards will be free. That is his party line that he said there. Whether or not that is subject to change would be very strange at this point in time, but he was happy to say that. So, it just helps that the game plays really well.
Yeah. I mean, did you get a chance to play the A-Day stuff as well?
We didn't get a chance to play the A-Day stuff because of the fact that this, we were told, was the more comprehensive version of it. And we did actually watch a load of people playing it, and I've seen the trailer of the full playthrough as well.
Because I think that's the characters that they've confirmed so far. But obviously the way that they've sort of mentioned the games as a service type stuff, they'll be plugging different characters into the online modes and stuff. But when the way that you played as Kamala, did she seem like she had enough depth to warrant like hours worth of time?
Unbelievably so, because of the fact that we got to see a story trailer as well, which actually shows her bringing together, she's talking to Iron Man, she's talking to Bruce Banner. They're basically all dealing with massive grief at what happened at the events of A-Day, because they all in some part were responsible for what happened. But then she then starts to uncover maybe there's a shadowy corporation going on, or there's something isn't quite what it seems. And so that's what brings the Avengers back together to unite, to try and basically just put the world right. Because Scott was very, very clear by saying that AIM, which are the new sort of tech corporation that have risen up in the Avengers' absence, they are not the bad guys in the sense that they are like the Machiavellian mustache-twirling evil guys. But what they do is they just represent the idea of bringing humanity together through technology and unity, possibly to a little bit of an extreme. So that was an interesting... And he's saying there's no black or white. There's no... Every character here is humanized. Every single story that is going to be told is going to be about them dealing with real human situations. Like he used PTSD, he used mental health as another thing as well. So if he deals with this correctly, then they're going to have some of the possibly most relevant game on the market at the moment, because it's something that a load of people love. Avengers are so popular, but applying it to situations that are huge at the moment and need discussion. So I'm really keen on this game. I was warm on it, and now I'm hot on it. I'm hot for
sizzling.
it. I'm sizzling.
Considering like how mature Spider-Man felt, like the different sort of themes that thing tackled, and like just the way the overall look of it, like Marvel's The Avengers, the Square Enix one, it just looks gorgeous anyway on a rendering side. Rich, you played some Doom Eternal, and you've recovered enough to talk about it.
I don't think I have. I really don't think I have. That was my most anticipated thing to go and play at EGX this weekend, and getting a good I want to say about half an hour. I got a bit of extra time compared to the standard amount of demo that people got. I was, everything that I wanted it to be was there. But I was still blown away by just how good it was. They've done enough to change up things. They've added bits and bobs into the standard gameplay formula we know from Doom 2016, but they've not added in so much that it feels completely different. Because that has happened with game sequels at time to time, that they just they bolt too many more things onto this thing. Oh, this needs to be different enough to warrant it being a sequel. And people are just like, well, that's too different now.
You said they changed things to do with like the pickups. You can make different things drop.
Yes, so they've just sort of refined some of the mechanics they introduced with the glory kills, because glory kills were new to the Doom series come 2016. Back then, if you used a glory kill, you would gain health from killed demons. If you used the chainsaw, you would replenish basically all your ammo depending on the size of the demon you would chop up.
Right.
But armor was one of the things that wasn't at all like replenishable outside of just finding drops on the floor. But now the Doomslayer's got his new armor. He's showing a bit more skin this time. I think it must be warmer.
Kinky.
Must be a bit hotter
in Doom 3. It'll probably have like a midriff as well.
Marcus Phoenix got rid of his sleeves.
Have his little belly out.
Yeah. But now he's got like an over-shoulder grenade launcher, which replaces actually just throwing a grenade like you did in 2016, but also houses a flamethrower. So if you set any demons on fire, they'll just slowly start spitting out armor chunks as well. Right. So you can replenish your sort of health and stuff that way. And they definitely didn't just like bolt this on top. They took this replenishing side of things and they put it more into practice, because going through the chunk of, because we basically played one big level but split into like 3 or 4 separate bits, and there was just like, okay, sometime later, it literally would say sometime later, here's what you're doing now, sometime later, here's what you're doing now. But they didn't actually give you as much ammo in the grand scheme of things, because I basically live on the combat shotgun with Doom, and I ran out of ammo on it like almost straight away all the time, because they expect you to use everything in your arsenal, which is still a pretty, you know, Doom guy can fit like 8 weapons up his bum wherever on earth he keeps them, plus the grenades, plus this chainsaw, plus the flamethrower, and of course his glory kills. And just standard punching and the blood punch you get from getting lots of glory kills, and they expect you to use every single aspect of that in your fight against the demons. So it feels like there's a lot more depth to it in the way that you do need to play. But I went into it still with like Doom 2016 hot in my mind, because it wasn't that long ago since I last replayed it, and I still got stuck into it more and more. And as time has gone on after the demo, which of course I have not stopped thinking about since I played it, I'm thinking about okay, I can see how I need to adapt the gameplay that I know well from however many hours I put into 2016 and taking it into Eternal. But yeah, it was like everything that I wanted and more. It was fast, it was bloody, it was the music that we heard from Mick Gordon again.
It was amazing.
Some new music.
Yeah. Is there like a core main theme? Because like Rip and Tear kind of became known as the Doom theme.
In that scenario, we can't really tell.
Just bouncy,
we just got some
stuff.
Yeah.
It's heavier.
It was all heavy.
It's heavier than the first stuff.
Really?
It's still super heavy.
Yes.
Yeah. But as for whether we'll get they'll have to do some kind of like successor to Rip and Tear and some kind of successor to BFG Division, and I'm sure we will have them. There's a chance we might have heard them during the demo. We don't know.
Right.
But all we heard was Mick Gordon do background music. So
what was the thing that made you feel like it was heavier? Is it just like more layered up?
There was a bit where you're watching this BFG 1 million or
BFG 10,000.
10,000, who's the massive sentry gun that's literally a planet killer. It was charging up, and as the lift is going down, the music was fading out, but just as the lift stopped and started to fade back in, it started going like, it sounded like a chainsaw being referenced, like...
in Doom 2016, the main menu theme uses a chainsaw sound effect put through a synthesizer for its instrument, so the actual use of chainsaws is a thing in the Doom soundtrack.
That's beautiful, because I remember in the original one, there was that big moment where the music stopped and he cocks the shotgun.
Right,
like
after the title sequence.
I love that they've taken that forward. They're going
to have to do something like that again with the opening to Eternal, because I mean, at the end of the day, we've been put into stasis by Samuel Hayden. That's where we are. Because all of our gameplay was on Phobos and then into Mars and then into Hell. Right. But we haven't done any Earth stuff yet.
The new abilities like the wall climbing and the double dashing and stuff like that, and all of those other things, they create it's allowed the developers to really go crazy with the level design. We're noticing so much more verticality and so much more platforming sections.
It's literally a playground.
Yeah, you were like running along, jumping down to this like platform that was only like as big as the Doomslayer itself. That's literally hovering or dropping slowly into the Earth, into the Mars's atmosphere, which has been split open. And you've got like all of these flying demons all coming all around you, and you're then jumping up in the air and like trying to use the hook shot on them. It's
but like reliably, you don't feel like you're going to fall in? Or...
No, not at all. No. I felt like I was in control 100% of the time, and if I died, I wasn't just like, damn. I was still like, that was fun. That was fun.
You get your double jump, you get your 2 dashes, and you get your wall climbing and stuff like that. But you can tell that they've played it with more verticality because they've added in more flying demons. Because in 2016 you had the Cacodemon and you had the I can't remember what they're called, but the skulls that scream at you and then charge at you. And now you've got the I knew this name before, but it looks like a Cacodemon, but it's brown and has arms. And it reaches into its mouth to throw things at you. And there are also these like more winged demons as well, flying around. They like hover in the air. They're kind of like the Reapers, the one with the rocket launchers on their shoulders. Kind of similar to how they jump in the air and float. They really play up on the verticality a lot more. And the final, the last third of the demo was this final battle, and it was hard. It was really hard.
Because you said you were one of the only people who got through.
I got all the way through.
Yeah. WhatCulture Gaming Elite gamers.
I got all the way through, but they dropped like 2 of these guys on you and just running around in circles in this literally this massive playground. It's similar to like later on in 2016 there were there was levels with like almost like underpasses underneath the map where you could find more pickups. It's like more and more of that, but then the topmost layer and then another layer on top, and you've got the monkey bars to swing around on. You're launching yourself in the air. Using the hook shot underneath the super shotgun was also absolutely
fun.
I was going to ask you about that, because it's like, does that let you close the distance on
Yes.
something, or you're bringing stuff
No,
to you?
you go
close the
to
distance
it,
on it.
which means that you could be running around the outset of an arena. You could jump off and then just at the last second pull yourself back in, or even go around.
Like when you've got, like, for example, like a Cacodemon out in the distance, and it's like a super shotgun hasn't got the range for it, but I can just pull myself towards it.
And then
it's
at the
almost
last second,
it's almost like it's almost like reverse Roadhog in Overwatch when he uses his hook shot to pull somebody towards him and gets a point blank shot with his shotgun. It's basically that, but except the Doomslayer is pulling himself towards the demons.
Which is great, because I feel like that in one action summarizes the Doomslayer better than anything else, because he doesn't want to bring the enemies closer to him. He wants to go into he will come to you.
But yeah, Eternal was my personal highlight of the show. It has completely tided me over to March 2020. I will happily wait another 6 months for this game, because even that little bit we played, it's like, if I get this, and I remember it saying that apparently the campaign's gonna be like 50 hours.
Yeah, mad.
And it's like, if I get 50 hours of that on just a single playthrough, I'm gonna be like
actually physically exhausted at the end of it.
I'll be a skeleton by the end of it. I'll be gone.
One quick thing to notice as well is that the PCs that we were playing on, they ran the game so smoothly. I know that they were top of the line, but the fact is that when Rich is saying that we jumped forward in the levels, it was like, here's the loading screen, skip. Here's the loading screen, skip. You were instantaneous loading each and every time.
Yeah, one of the things in the PC space with Doom is it's a really good game for benchmarking PCs, because with id and their prowess since 90, well, I say 93, it was before 93 they were doing PC games. They are so good at optimizing games. I've watched YouTubers take a potato PC, stick a relatively new budget GPU into it, like a 2019 GPU, and it can run Doom at like 90 FPS. And this was like a Dell workstation from 2010. Like, you just bung this in and it can run Doom perfectly fine. So it's like, if you've got a potato of a PC, there's a good chance. There's a good chance that you'll be able to run 2016 or Doom Eternal pretty damn well. Yeah. But I was asking about whether we'd have like RTX support on launch and stuff like that, but we must have been playing at least 144 frames per second quite happily.
So good. It was so
and
good.
It was just
liquid butter gaming.
Yeah.
Beautiful game.
It sounds like they've completely doubled down on the speed and the anarchic.
Yeah.
It's so anarchic, and it's just like the thing that everyone loved about the reboot in 2016 was that feel of like aggression and just not stopping at all.
So much more aggressive. Like, even just the actions that the Doomslayer has, even the difference in the glory kills, they're so much more disgusting at times.
Very good.
Everything you liked about 2016 has been pumped full of steroids and made sillier and bloodier and more brilliant. And I'm so excited.
Did you guys wield the big energy sword that we've seen or
no? No matter.
I think that's saved. I think that is actually a chunk that takes place that we skipped. Because I was watching some of the gameplay earlier today from QuakeCon, and we played the beginning like a bit earlier on in that demo, and then we played a bit later on. So I'm guessing this boss fight, when he pulls out the hilt, he pulls the sword out, is something that happens in between two of the chunks we played.
I don't know if we'll ever get this off the ground, but we should do the best energy swords in gaming, because you can have lightsabers, but you can have the Halo energy sword, you can have the Doom 2 energy sword. Just give me energy blades, left, right, and center. Jules, you played the Final Fantasy VII remake. Is it as good as my childhood thinks it is?
Right. Okay. So let's just be very, very clear from the off. This is a very, very different game. It is it's fantastic.
Good.
I enjoyed it so much. I did not get nearly enough time with this game as I would have liked to. They were very stringent about the how long you got on it, but
dragged you away kicking.
Admittedly, the queues were absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, they'd be insane.
They left me wanting more immediately, because of the fact is I went to. You start in the Mako reactor, even though they pronounce it as Mako in this.
It's Mako.
It's Mako.
Has it got 1K?
Yeah.
But it's Mako.
Yeah. But as soon as you get off the ladder, Barrett just goes, "Oh, there's Mako reactor," and I'm just like, "Oh, boo!" But,
so that's the problem with voicing old school text-based
literally unplayable.
So what happened is that you get like 10 minutes to run from the top of the Mako reactor all the way down to where you fight the Scorpion boss. And as soon as I got down there, all the way through, I was noticing, I was like, "Oh, okay, fluid movement. The combat looks quite nice as well. I'm allowed to just sort of like attack and move over." And I thought, okay, getting vibes of Final Fantasy 15, which I didn't love for its combat, but I thought was a step in an interesting direction. And then it started like giving the tutorials for like how to do the spells and how to do this. And as I was like able to pause the game and not just like slow down, it's pausing the game. So you can literally play this as
like turn-based.
Yeah, if you want to do all of your abilities and stuff off that, then you are more than able to, because you can actually flip between your characters and issue them commands as well, and then flip back to your main characters to carry on.
Lush.
And Barrett and Cloud play completely differently. So Cloud is obviously right up in their face. He can take a few more hits, and he's also really good at sort of like he can not stun lock, but he can push enemies back each time he hits them, which is quite a nice little feature. Barrett's great at doing support fire, because if you hold his gun barrel down, he'll do tons of chip damage to them, but they'll stay in place so that the rest of the team can move in or attack him to do other stuff. Because this isn't a game that says if you're casting a missile launcher barrage that it's going to hit you no matter what, because I hate games that give you the illusion that you can dodge but you're not actually able to. In this one, for example, the Scorpion boss fires out 1,000,000 missiles. If you aren't dodging them, then you won't get hit, you won't take any damage. And I love that, because it rewards you for playing well as being tactical.
That was the biggest problem I had with 15, because it just felt like you were having like an animation war, and it's just sort of like, well, it's the illusion of combat.
Yeah, I remember times when I'd have enemies that were attacking me maybe 3 foot away because I dashed away, but because the animation had started next to my character, I still took the damage. I was like, oh, right,
so
okay.
in 7, in terms of being hands-on with it, like, is it, do you have light and heavy attacks, and does it respond button by button, or are you holding it? Or
you're not holding buttons, you are attacking. Yeah, you're attacking. You can chain together some combos as well, which is great. I mean, for Barrett, for example, if you hold down the square button to attack, he'll do a round of fire, and then he'll finish with a charge burst, which does extra damage as well. Every single person's got different abilities with their spells, and Barrett can fire a stunning concussion blast. You've got the Braver for Cloud, where he stuns enemies, but it does like extra damage to those around him and stuff like that.
I was going to say, how does it handle the limit break stuff? Do you get to do any limits?
Because this was a tutorial, it basically built the limit break up to a certain point, and then it allowed you to use it at a certain point. But in the game, you could see that it was like the more attacks you were doing, the quicker your ATB gauge was filling up. So therefore, as Barrett, who was better at dealing with the Scorpion boss than Cloud, because he has the thunder magic, you stand back, shoot the boss for ages, because then you'll charge your ATB gauge really quickly. Then you do that, but you keep Cloud right up next to it so that it doesn't go and attack Barrett. And it's really, you actually can see forward thinking, there's going to be a lot of very tactical battles. Like, you're going to really need to think about where the placement of your characters are and keep telling them to do certain things or moving them into certain places.
In the Scorpion battle, did it raise its tail at any point?
It did raise its tail.
Did it tell you to actually not attack it when its tail's raised?
No.
One legendary mistranslation.
It didn't tell us to not attack, but what it did say was you might want to hide behind the rubble that conveniently falls in place. And it does. If I did a test of what happens if you do get hit, it ruins you. I was just like, oh, okay, fair enough. But I had so much fun playing it. The only problem that I have with this is that I worry that corners are going to be cut with the story to make it only focus on the action side of the game, because we have seen nothing about how it's going to be in the downtime. We've only been focusing on the combat. Everyone's been doing that. Yeah. I love the fact that they put in the stagger thing from Final Fantasy 13, whereas if you do enough damage to it, it will enter a stagger animation, kind of, and they'll fall to the floor, and you can do like attack for triple damage or whatever like that is. But I don't like the way that the episodic stuff's feeling at the moment. I'm not sure. They keep trying to sell us on the fact that it's going to be, each one of these is going to be a full 40-hour game, and that's how they're justifying a full price for each one.
I want to believe that they've got
That's 120 quid.
Yeah,
because it's for 3 episodes, isn't it?
That's what it is right now.
But I've overheard somebody over there saying it was going to be 7 episodes. No, I'm not even joking.
It wouldn't surprise me.
So imagine paying 40 quid a time. Even 3 is 120.
As someone whose Final Fantasy VII is one of their favourite games of all time, I will pay that money. But I don't want to. But I will.
But that's my only concern with this.
Because I think the way that they've led with it, obviously they're doing a massive chunk of Midgar, and it looks gorgeous. Like, I mean, a lot of Final Fantasy VII's imagery is that sort of cyberpunk city, and it's like, that's obviously what they would lead with. It is the beginning of the game, but in terms of, they haven't shown anything else. I don't even think they've worked on the rest of the game yet. They've kind of rejigged Sephiroth's place in it. Like, he's more visualized as part of like Cloud Psyche.
Well, yeah, that actually happened in the middle of the fight. In the middle of the battle with the Scorpion, or maybe just before, he has like a pang of like a memory, and he sees a black feather falling down, and then just as it hits the ground, that's when the Scorpion boss attacks. So it's kind of like much more on the nose than I guess the other game was.
Because I played through Final Fantasy VII this year, and like that thing, I adore Final Fantasy VII, but it is very much the victim of a one-person translation team, and there's a whole bunch of story things in that barely land because they just didn't translate it very well. And so like Cloud's relationship with Sephiroth is a massive deal, and a lot of the fans have picked apart the reality of what the twist was supposed to be. But I think they'll see that way better in this.
I'm just just going to put it out there that I feel like there is nothing to stop you from loving both games. Like, I know that a load of people will be out there like, it's not the Final Fantasy I wanted. It's like, you're right, it's not going to be the Final Fantasy that you possibly ideally wanted, which is probably the exact same game but with better graphics.
That's what I thought it was going to be. That's what I wanted it to be, and that's what I thought they were going to do. If you want that, you can go play that on PC. Just swap the character models out.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a remake, not a remaster, I guess. So that's the way to look at it. I mean, everyone was worried about Resident Evil 2 being remade, and now look at us.
It's one of the best games of the year.
Exactly. So I'm hoping to say the same thing further down the line. Just hope that I just worry that they're going to bring the elements of the present into the past, and the episodic content is one of them. I hope that then we're not going to see any more DLC stuff.
They could do with
bits.
clarifying what it's going to be,
yes.
like where the cutoff in the story is, and exactly how they're going to roll it out. Because like Midgar is a fraction of that game.
Oh yeah,
I mean a tiny sliver.
Like if you think about it, it's not even until like the giant snake that you have to fight to get through the canyon that things really start even heating up, and that is maybe 12 hours into the game.
There's enough content, hashtag content, to make that first episode all about everything that happens in Midgar and maybe going to Calm afterwards or whatever. Like, and like you said, the first time you see the that giant snake, I forget its name, the Midgar Zolom.
Yeah.
Like the first time you see that, they could totally end on that and be like, holy crap, this thing got killed. Or
I
whatever.
personally think they're going to end this first episode with the plate falling.
Oh,
and then crushing the city below. That's probably a good setup point for them to leave. But I do think that we're going to miss everything between that point up until maybe the Grand Canyon, or not Grand Canyon. What's it? Fort Condor. I reckon that all of that will just be cut out because it's just busy work.
I guess obviously
it's a shame.
In terms of the gameplay, it seems extremely promising.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely, and it looks great.
Rich, your next thing was Iron Man VR, which really blew you away.
It did. I have never played VR before in a proper, I've just put a mobile phone in a bit of plastic sense. So this was genuinely my first ever VR experience. And to jump in with PSVR especially, and play a relatively short demo of Iron Man VR, it has sold me on the whole platform.
Good.
And I've been very tempted by VR a lot recently. There's been a lot of musings about Valve revealing a AAA style VR game, a full-on VR game.
Half-Life.
It does take place between Half-Life 1 and 2, starring Alex Vance. Interesting. But I got to play Iron Man VR, and it is literally everything you would expect it to be. You are Tony Stark, you are Iron Man, and it took place outside of his home on the cliffside as it is in the MCU. And you're just like flying around shooting targets. Basically, it's just like, okay, I've just come home from whatever I was doing. Let's just do some training. Let's just let's have a cool down as a means of giving you the tutorial. So it was both PS Move controllers, one on each hand, obviously the headset, and it was like, okay, straight away you need to fly home because you're like a kilometer away.
Right.
And it was like, okay, so put your hands. The way that you held the controllers, like the direction of the actual the lollipop, as it were, was like your palm forward. So like parallel with it basically, and it was like, remember that you're Iron Man, you've got the blasters on the front of your palms, so that's the direction you need to be having your hands facing. So you put your hands down below you and you hold down both triggers behind it, and you're like, you've got your hands by your sides like a penguin and you're hovering in midair like Iron Man does. And it was like, okay, now you need to fly towards your house, so tilt your hands forward so that your palms are facing behind you, so you're propelling yourself forward. So you flew all the way home, gave you the title sequence, and it was like, I'm flying through the woods, so Interactive Entertainment presents, and you get home and it's like, cool, here's some triangular targets and they're all around you.
Right.
And you get a little thing on your UI, because obviously you get the Iron Man UI, it comes in with the helmet, the eyes appear, and then it opens up, and it's like, here you are, you're out in the sea, and it's like, okay, now point at that and shoot it. So you lift the move controller up, and you can see obviously Iron Man's hand, or like a sort of slightly transparent Iron Man hand come up, and you hold down the big button in the middle, and it has the charge up noise, and then the shoot, and then the shot, and it was and it was like, okay, do that, and just think of any point in the MCU when Iron Man is there like shooting and he's just spinning around on the spot, and you're literally, the first thing you do in that game apart from flying is doing that. Shooting
we
around
saw
you.
so many people just going like towards the end of the demo when they'd started feeling comfortable with it, just going pew, pew, pew,
it was
because
they just rammed it up. It was like, okay, you've shot a load of targets, now do some flying around, fly through some rings, like PS1 Quidditch. Go and do that. But again, it's like you have to position your hands in such a way, you have to use your trajectory, because you do get a bit of sway over where you go based on where you're looking, but it is mainly based on where your hands are.
Right.
And it's like, fly around, go through some rings. Okay, now we're going to do the same again, but there's some targets as well, and now we're going to let you loose with the whole playground. It's quite a big space. We're going to give you loads of targets and hoops and now drones who are shooting at you.
Two things. One, can you stop in midair by putting your palms forward? And two, can you do a superhero landing?
No.
Oh!
There was no option to do a superhero landing because we were
Right.
literally, you're out in the
You're in
sea.
midair.
There's just rocks everywhere. But yes, you can put your palms in front of you to
just,
stop.
like, stop.
Because it is
Amazing.
pure trajectory. Like you have complete control over where you move based on where your hands are. Same with the way you were shooting, because eventually your AI Friday, I think it might have been in this. They were like, okay, do you want some heavier stuff? So they brought out some bigger drones that take like 3 or 4 hits to shoot. And there was one point when I was just kind of really high up in the air and they were both below me. So I was just like double hand shooting downwards. And at one, you get taught how to punch through things. And at one point, I flew down to one, and as it was in front of me, it was charging up its shot. I just punched through the middle of it and destroyed it.
Amazing.
And it was like, this has sold me. The idea, like the freedom that you get, it doesn't feel, because I kind of thought, it could be very on rails. But no,
That's what I assumed
you're
it would be,
literally
yeah.
flying around free roam as Iron Man, shooting stuff left, right, and center, punching, boosting, and then
Amazing.
at the end of it, you do land on your like driveway, and you do fly to the point, and then it gets to when you get close enough, it triggers an animation that then you do this sort of superhero landing.
Right, okay. That's still
That was all it was. It was only about maybe 10-15 minutes. But that 10-15 minutes has sold me on PSVR, and now I am looking to buy one.
Amazing.
That sounds like, considering that like we haven't had any decent Iron Man games, I remember forcing myself to like the second Iron Man film game because at least you could fly.
jeez.
At least you could fly around, and it's not actually good, but I like the idea that you could fly around as Iron Man.
But the thing for
So
me
I like
is,
the-
I think
the-
the reason
the-
why this has sold me so quickly is because you have something against your face. It feels like you are wearing the helmet. So when you've got them talking
Yeah.
in your ears and you can see the UI like literally right in front of you, it felt so real. And like I said, every time you pulled out your hand to shoot something, it just felt so good.
I never realized how like iconic that noise already is.
Yeah,
like
but the
little
fact that
charging
you
noise.
were controlling that, like literally, you were aiming with your own. There was a little bit of aim assist, but it was relatively free roam because you're using your whole body. You can be as precise as you like to be. So I highly recommend giving it a go when it really. I can't remember when it releases, but I'm just like, I need to make sure I have a PSVR by the time this
Yeah,
comes out.
I've just-
No idea how long it is. But even just that beginning bit was such a good time.
Just got this idea of you as Iron Man's sidekick, where people are just going, what's that up in the sky? Oh, it's Iron Man and Rusty Rich. It's
Flying
Iron Boy.
in.
It's Iron Boy.
But so we'll have more EGX stuff on Wednesday. You guys can go into the rest of the stuff that you played. There's some Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, there's some Pokemon Sword and Shield, and there's some Cyberpunk 2077, which is more of like a live demo thing that you guys got to
Yes.
watch as opposed to play it, but still. So yeah, come back for that stuff. We'll put it on the main channel as well. And for now, this has been the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. I've been your host, Scott Tilford, joined by Rich Hudson.
Thank you for listening.
I'm Jules Gill.
See you soon.
I'll catch you next time.
Bye.